Civil War soldier programs held on the battlefield.
You're okay. I wanted you in the picture.
I'm actually trying to get the nurses.
Oh shoot, what did I just do?
What they're going to do for you here is constantly demonstrate very important branch of service, not only for the Union Army, but for the Confederates as well, and branch of service. This is one big, large group, the largest that come to Gettysburg, and we're going to show you how the regimental and battalion level, how men fought the linear tactics. Now, during the course of the program, they also going to be demonstrating those weapons. That's going to be part of the program, Springfield and infield rifle muskets. They will be firing these muskets, so keep in mind that they're not going to be live fired, of course, no mini balls, but they are going to blank fire about 67 grains of black powder to blank cartridge. It can often get loud, especially when we have nearly 200 men out there in the field. So before they fire, if you have a hearing aid, turn your hearing aid way down. Also, if you want to protect your hearing, just cover your ears, and that should do the trick. Also, for your own safety, black powder, it is a Class A explosive. It's highly dangerous. It's highly volatile stuff.
Battalion order, arm!
Each man of the Mifflin Guard is trained and experienced in using that black powder safely. But here in the Park Service, we're looking out for your safety. That's paramount with us. So we like to separate you folks from any potential problems that often can occur when you handle and fire a Class A explosive. Don't anticipate any problems whatsoever with these men in front of you, but you never know with this unpredictable black powder. So in case there is a problem out in the field, you are safe and snug behind that very sturdy barricade right in front of you.
Yeah.
You can move right up. You can move right up close to that barricade if you like, but please do not go beyond it for your own safety. After the program, the Guard is going to be marching back into camp. Great opportunity to go back there and join them, ask any questions of them at that time. They're very knowledgeable, engaging folks, so spend some time with them after the program. I'd like to thank you folks once again. I shoot to a gentleman who's been coming here for many, many years interpreting this battle of the American Civil War soldier. He's extremely knowledgeable when it comes to the infantry. He's going to talk a little bit while the men demonstrate. Out of Temple University, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, I'd like you all to meet the Colonel of the Mifflin Guard, Mr. Scott Washburn.
The regiment was composed of individual companies, but the companies very rarely ever acted on their own. They were in the line of battle here would stand at the right of their companies. Right! Face! Now the men have faced to the right, and if you look closely, you see they've gone from 2 ranks into 4. The men were all numbered, either a 1 or a 2. And on a right face, all the number 2s stepped up to the right of the number 1 in front of them. So they went from 2 ranks into 4, making this a comfortable and compact marching formation. And they get back to where they were before, and they're back in the line of battle. Fade! In this case, the number 1s step up instead of the number 2s. You might notice the company commanders all moved up to the head of their companies from where they were. And it works exactly the same way it did when marching by the right flank. This is called marching by the left flank. Battalion, run! Swings out into its own separate line of battle, and we are now in what is called a column of companies. So we are now 1 company wide by 6 companies deep. This was a common marching formation. It was, in many cases, compact enough to fit down a road. Now they are doing a maneuver called on the right into line. In this, each company swings around to the right, and in short order we will have reformed our line of battle, but we'll be facing in the opposite direction than we were just a moment ago. See how each company marches on past the others, turns, and then moves up and dresses itself onto the line. Now the battalion is going to advance in line of battle. You see how the man with the flag, the colors, and the front rank of what's called the color guard have stepped out in front. They are a visual marker, so they help keep the line straight. being the color bearer was quite a dangerous job. You were always right out in front there and made a very, very good target. Okay, the battalion's halted on the command guide's post. The colors move back into the line.
Battalion! Prime!
Now we're going to do some firing for you. The command that was just given was prime. Now this is a safety precaution that we as reenactors do to make certain that our muskets are clear of any obstruction. So what's happening here, they're just putting the percussion cap onto the musket. This is the primer, which would set off the gunpowder, but there is no gunpowder in the barrel yet. So you heard the sharp popping of the percussion caps. There was no gunpowder going off. That's just the primer. Now you might notice that with the battalion preparing to fire, all of the company commanders have moved from their position up in the front rank now around back behind their companies. Now this is not because they're cowards, they want to stay out of the line of fire. There really is no safe spot. They're back there so they can observe their men, make certain their men are loading and firing properly, not wasting ammunition or firing wildly into the air or something.
Firing by wing!
Now, one of the problems, of course, with the firing by battalion, with the whole battalion all firing at once, is that you have this long 20-second time period while they're reloading when no one's shooting. So there are ways to sort of split up the fire, spread it out a little bit. And what's happening here, the lieutenant colonel is firing the battalion by wing. The battalion is divided into a right wing and a left wing. And by alternating firing the two wings, you can cut that 20-second time period down into about a 10-second time period. Another way of splitting up the fire was to fire by rank. You can fire the front rank and the rear rank independently of each other. So that was just half the muskets going off, just the front rank fired.
Was that half of it?
Rear rank, ready! And fire! Right, front, right.
Now this is another method of doing this would have been to wheel the entire battalion, swing it like a swinging door. That's kind of tricky to do, and it takes longer than this. And in fact, if we were really in danger, we could open fire with the first company on line to cover the movements of the rest of the battalion. And as each company came online, they could open fire in turn.
Battalion! Hold up! Ah! And ho!
Now we showed you a couple different ways of firing the battalion, having the whole battalion fire at once, firing by wing, firing by rank. But perhaps the most common method of firing during the Civil War was actually fire at will, where everybody just loading and firing independently as fast as they can.
Commence firing!
Now the way this would happen, they would start out firing from the right end of each company and then firing down the line from right to left. And then once they were done that first time through, each man would load and fire independently after that. Now this didn't produce the crashing volleys that we had before, but it does produce a fairly steady stream of fire towards the enemy. A question was asked about the drummer and the bugler. The drummer provides a nice cadence to march to. It's actually much easier to march to a nice cadence than it is just marching on your own. The bugler could be used to pass orders along. The bugle could be heard at a longer distance than the human voice, so there are a number of simple bugle calls like open fire, cease fire, forward march, halt, things like that that could be used instead of the colonel screaming at the top of his lungs. As I said, this was the most common method of firing, even if the officers didn't want them to. Most of the accounts say that once the battle got started, the men would get very excited and would just generally start loading and firing on their own, no matter what they've been ordered to do. So usually most firefights quickly devolved into something like this, with just everybody firing at will. There, you hear the bugle calling ceasefire. Okay, we're going to do one last battalion volley here with everybody firing at once. You might notice that it's quite a bit noisier with them not facing directly away from you.